public schools are closed today as an industrial fire continues to smolder in Parkersburg. A queer and trans gun club is taking up arms in reaction to the rise of the extreme right.
And in sports, Ohio Bobcats are bowl eligible for the 9th straight year after a big win over Kent State this weekend. Newswatch starts right now.
Broadcasting live from WOUB TV in Athens, this is Newswatch.
West Virginia Governor Jim Justice has declared a state of emergency in Wood County after this weekend's warehouse fire. Good evening, I'm Chelsea Sick. Thanks for joining us. The huge industrial fire that erupted on Saturday continues to smolder. The problem now for residents is air quality. Officials even closed Wood County public schools today with concerns about the smoke and rain. Officials are still investigating how the fire broke out of the former Ames tool plant. Authorities say firefighters from 31 departments from West Virginia and Ohio had to respond. Camden Clark Hospital spokesman Roger Lockhart says no injuries were reported, but a few people sought treatment for breathing issues due to the smoke. Authorities say it's possible the fire could continue to burn inside the building for 1 to 2 more days. BuzzFeed is reporting that Governor John Kasich met yesterday with foreign policy and national security experts in Columbus, apparently looking toward a possible run for president in 2020. But the Ohio governor says this is not what's most important to him right now.
I'm not doing any planning for anything. I mean, I just don't. And I want to have a voice. I think my voice has mattered with my colleagues in healthcare. I think it matters in a lot of different things. And that's what is most important to me now. As to where this is going to take me, I really don't know.
Kasich says his national news show appearances only occurred because the networks sought him out. An Ohio man pleaded not guilty Friday on charges related to 4 homicides in Lawrence County. 23-year-old Aaron Lawson was also arraigned on charges for aggravated assault, rape, tampering with evidence, eluding police, and theft of a motor vehicle. The victims in the October 11th slaying are 50-year-old Donald McGuire, 43-year-old Tammy L. McGuire, 24-year-old Stacey M. Jackson, and 8-year-old Devin Holston. The maximum penalty for aggravated murder in Ohio is lethal injection. A pretrial has been set for November 3rd. Zanesville police are searching for a suspect involved in an armed robbery yesterday morning. Police patrolman Sean Barnes told the Times Recorder the suspect entered the downtown Zanesville Rite Aid store around 11:19 in the morning. The suspect jumped the pharmacy counter and pointed a gun at the pharmacist. The male suspect asked to be directed to the narcotics cabinet and then fled the store. A series of training seminars will be held around West Virginia to help boost farmers markets and farm production. Here are the dates and locations for the 3 seminars. The first will be held tomorrow at the Country Inn in Berkeley Springs. The second will be November 9th at Jackson's Mill in Jane Lew, and the third will be December 14th at the Start Fairgrounds in Fairlee. The seminars are being hosted by the West Virginia Farmers Market Association and the West Virginia Food and Farm Coalition. Topics being discussed include branding, marketing, and product pricing.
Well, good evening from the Newswatch Weather Center. I'm forecaster Ethan Emery, and if you're out and about today, you needed one of these, and it was kind of hard to hold on to because of the rain and the wind out there. And right now, temperatures are still kind of steady with that muggy air in the area right now. So temperatures right now, 58 degrees here in Athens, with those winds out of the south and west at about 10 miles per hour. And that dew point, very, very muggy at 58 degrees with that humidity levels nearly 100%. And across the region, temperatures are kind of steady with those upper 50s to near 60 degrees. And take a look at the rainfall amounts today. We've seen anywhere from a quarter of an inch of rain to over almost an inch of rain down by the river. So it's been a very wet one out there today, folks. And next couple of hours, more rain in the forecast. So temperatures at 7 o'clock, 57 degrees. And then by 9 o'clock, temperatures still in the mid 50s without chances of rain. So another wet day or night coming up. Chelsea?
All right. Thank you, Ethan. A gas line explosion in Stark County this afternoon killed 1 maintenance worker, according to the Stark County Coroner's Office. According to the Sheriff's Office, crews were performing work on the valve when the explosion happened, forcing officials to evacuate the area. Erie Valley Fire and Rescue says the explosion happened at a valve station owned by Columbia Gas Transmission. The valve has been shut off, allowing residents to return to their homes. Residents in Northeast Ohio grieve after a police officer was killed in the line of duty this weekend. Girard Mayor Jim Melfi says police officer Justin Leo was killed after responding to a domestic incident Saturday night. Officials say a suspect whose identity has not been released shot Leo as he walked into a home. Another officer then shot and killed the suspect. Officer Leo, a 5-year veteran of the department, was rushed to the hospital where he later died due to his injury. Melfi called it the saddest day in the city's history.
Justin Leo was a young man I knew most of his life, and an absolute gentleman, and someone who this city has been proud of since he's been here with us.
Last night, friends, family, and fellow police gathered at Girard High School's football stadium to remember Officer Leo. A Cleveland community proved how much it cares for its police officers and canine companions. A police officer noticed there was something wrong with his canine, but thanks to a large amount of donated money, the two are still together. Peggy Gallick reports.
There's nothing like possibly losing your partner.
This is University Hospital's police officer Matt Suster talking about his former work partner, General.
We met about 2 years ago, and we've been together since. We've been working together at UH.
But a few months ago, Suster noticed General wasn't acting right.
When we went to get in the car that night, he jumped in, and when he jumped in, he yelped. So I knew that it hurt.
So after several trips to the veterinarian, General was sent to get more tests.
We went and got an MRI down in Akron, and that's what revealed the lumbosacral stenosis.
This is a genetic disorder which causes the nerves in his back to be pinched and cause pain. Suster knew General would not be able to work.
He can be fine as a house pet. He can do any kind of like low impact work or things like that where it's just, your normal everyday stuff. He just can't do the kind of things that we need him to do as a canine.
Suster learned he would either need to return General so the department can get a replacement dog or pay $5,000 out of pocket to keep him. Giving General up was not an option.
It's kind of like trying to give up one of your kids. It's just not going to happen.
Suster started a GoFundMe account to raise the money, and in just a few days, he had the cash he needed to keep General. And any additional money he receives will be used to help others in similar situations.
Hopefully we can help out some other retired canines.
So they too will be able to stay with their best friend.
You're being a good boy, huh?
Police canines typically serve between 7 or 8 years. General only served around 2. Tensions in Washington are rising between Trump and members of Congress after ambush in Niger. Boeing Aircraft signed a deal with Singapore today that is expected to create 70,000 jobs in the United States. These stories and more when Newswatch returns.
University students really have a huge sense of pride in our campus, in our school, and in our education.
People don't come to Ohio just to go to college. They come here to become a Bobcat.
It's a really unique atmosphere.
Bobcat pride is having that natural camaraderie.
Bobcats are just happy to be Bobcats.
My favorite time of year at Ohio has to be homecoming.
When the alumni come back, you can see that the love of this university doesn't fade.
Once you're a Bobcat, you're always a Bobcat.
Hey everybody, I'm Gridiron Glory host Joseph Payton. Every Friday night live at 11:30, we will have a jam-packed show for you with everything that went down on the local gridiron that night. From every touchdown pass to every crushing hit, Gridiron Glory is your #1 source for all things Southeast Ohio football. So please be sure to tune into our show and also follow us on Twitter and Snapchat at Gridiron Glory, and of course like us on Facebook. I promise you won't want to miss out, because remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.
I knew that I wanted to come to Ohio University from the very first time I visited here.
There's something about the campus that grabs you.
It was really comforting.
Very welcoming.
It's one thing to write down your name and your GPA and that kind of stuff and send it in. It's another thing entirely to be here and see how great it is.
The campus here is just electric.
Absolutely gorgeous. Everything just looked really college-like.
I looked at my mom and I said, "This is it." And she said, "The tour's just started." I said, "No, you don't understand. this is it.
My professors really care. They care about my grades, they care about my opportunities, they care about my experiences, they want me to succeed.
They give those opportunities to the students.
My professors have been extremely approachable.
Literally, their door is always open. You can go to them with pretty much anything.
Everyone knows your first and your last name and where you sit in the classroom.
I really never feel like I'm being talked down to or just being taught material. I always feel like we're having a conversation.
And they want to share those opportunities and those experiences with us.
Singapore's purchase of nearly $14 billion worth of Boeing aircraft will create 70,000 jobs in the U.S. Boeing's chief executive officer and the CEO of Singapore's airlines signed paperwork today at the White House. President Trump and Singapore's Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong were also there. Trump says relations with Singapore are at their highest point. President Trump is reassuring Americans that there will be no change to 401k or other retirement plans. Trump tweeted the tax incentives have been great and popular. Americans were worried his tax reform plan would limit the amount of money employees would be able to set aside to as low as $2,400 a year. Currently, workers can put up to $18,000 a year in a 401k. An arms race over sexuality could be on the rise. Anxious about an armed and organized extreme right, Trigger Warning, a queer and trans gun club that meets once a month, is learning how to take up arms. The club formed as a reaction to the recent rise of the extreme right. 2 pride flags were burned in this upstate New York City right after the election of President Donald Trump. Other events, including the white nationalist rally in Charlottesville this summer, convinced some LGBT community members they needed to take up arms.
Often queer people are thought of as being weak, as being defenseless, and I think in many ways this pushes back against that. I want white supremacists and neo-Nazis to know that queer people are taking steps necessary to protect themselves.
Trigger Warning members say the point is self-defense, empowerment, and a sense of community in an unlikely place. A call for answers is growing about what happened in Niger. The investigation into the deaths of 4 U.S. servicemen and a public feud, between Trump, a widow, and a Democratic congresswoman is continuing to escalate. Omar Jimenez has the latest from Washington.
I didn't know there was 1,000 troops in Niger.
Did you know how many men and women were on the ground in Niger and what they're doing there?
I did not.
The Pentagon Monday responding to criticism by top lawmakers who say they were left in the dark on the mission in Niger, where 4 U.S. service members were killed in an early October ambush.
If the Congress doesn't believe that they're getting sufficient information, then I need to double my efforts to provide them with information.
The Pentagon insists it kept Congress informed of the operation, and the White House says it notified congressional leaders in June about troops conducting counterterrorism duties in Niger and Cameroon. Among the questions still lingering, how Sergeant LaDavid Johnson was separated from his 12-member team as it was ambushed. His body wasn't recovered until 48 hours later. His widow speaking out on the lack of answers on ABC's Good Morning America.
I don't know how he got killed, where he got killed, or anything. I don't know that part.
We owe the families as much information as we can find out about what happened. The only thing I'm asking for today is a bit of patience to make sure that what we provide to you when we provide it is factual.
And facts are what Pentagon investigators are continuing to pursue as they release a preliminary timeline of that deadly attack.
From the time the firefight was initiated until Sergeant Johnson's body was recovered, French, Nigerian, or U.S. forces remained in that area.
In Washington, I'm Omar Jimenez.
General Dunford said once more information becomes available, he plans to visit the families in their homes and give them an opportunity to ask questions. The West Coast was in desperate need of rain last week to put out the fires, but parts of the coast got much more than they needed. The latest on flooding in Oregon next.
Up to a half an inch of rainfall tonight, more rain tomorrow, but a dry trick-or-treat forecast. Those details coming up next on Newswatch. But first, here's a look at stocks of local interest.
professors really care. They care about my grades, they care about my opportunities, they care about my experiences, they want me to succeed.
They give those opportunities to the students.
My professors have been extremely approachable.
Literally, their door is always open.
You can go to them with pretty much anything. Everyone knows your first and your last name and where you sit in the classroom.
I really never feel like I'm being talked down to or just being taught material. I always feel like I'm having a conversation.
And they want to share those opportunities and those experiences with us.
Ohio University students really have a huge sense of pride in our campus, in our school, and in our education.
People don't come to Ohio just to go to college. They come here to become a Bobcat.
It's a really unique atmosphere.
Bobcat pride is having that natural camaraderie.
Bobcats are just happy to be Bobcats.
My favorite time of year at Ohio has to be homecoming.
When the alumni come back, you can see that the love of this university doesn't fade.
Once you're a Bobcat, you're always a Bobcat.
I knew that I wanted to come to Ohio University from the very first time I visited here.
There's something about the campus that grabs you.
It was really comforting.
Very welcoming.
It's one thing to write down your name and your GPA and that kind of stuff and send it in. It's another thing entirely to be here and see how great it is.
The campus here is just electric.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Everything just looked really college-like.
I looked at my mom and I said, "This is it." And she said, "The tour's just started." I said, "No, you don't understand. This is it."
Hey everybody, I'm Gridiron Glory host Joseph Payton. Every Friday night live at 11:30, we will have a jam-packed show for you with everything that went down on the local gridiron that night. From every touchdown pass to every crushing hit, Gridiron Glory is your #1 source for all things Southeast Ohio football. So please be sure to tune into our show and also follow us on Twitter and Snapchat at Gridiron Glory, and of course like us on Facebook. I promise you won't want to miss out, because remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.
Well, good evening. It's been another wet one out there today, and temperatures are still fairly mild. You see across the region right now, still in the upper 50s, so 58 degrees here in Athens, 59 down in Ironton, and over Columbus, only 60 degrees. And it's been kind of a wet one. If you can look on the map right here for the totals, it's rained over almost a half an inch here in Athens, only a quarter inch over Columbus, but look at down in Ironton. Almost 1 inch of rainfall has fallen today with all that rain. And not only was it rainy, but it was also very windy as well, with those winds gusting anywhere between 15 to 30 miles per hour. Very breezy and very wet, and it doesn't really reflect on the almanac because today's high, it was only 66 degrees for today, only 4 degrees above the normal. And the lows, only 53 degrees for morning low this morning, and that's about 10 degrees above the average. Those records were untouched, and you see the sunrise and sunset, they're getting shorter and shorter as we're getting closer to winter. And the story rundown is just this more rain tonight and tomorrow as well. Temperatures do cool down, but we're going to keep our eye on the weekend here in the next couple minutes, and we'll tell you about what's going to happen this weekend. Very, very surprising stuff coming up. And you can see the next couple of hours, see those temperatures falling down ever so slightly just because of that cloud cover and rain. So by 8 o'clock, temperatures only be around 56 degrees with that rain continuing. And then going down by 4 a.m. only to 51 degrees with that rain showers kind of dwindling down after midnight, but still could rain anywhere between a quarter an inch to a half inch of rainfall as we get into tomorrow morning. And those lows only to the upper 40s across the region. So 49 degrees over in Marietta, 48 over in Newark, and 49 degrees here in Athens with that cloud cover continuing with those scattered showers. Like I said, that rainfall could get close to about a half an inch of rain, and those winds pretty gusty, about 10 to 15 miles per hour. And it's also up to this secluding low just right here in the Great Lakes region, kind of making its way over the ridge, going up towards Canada. And then for tomorrow, same story, that rain wrapping around the low, bringing more rain for tomorrow, but not as bad as it was today, but still have the umbrella ready for tomorrow morning because at the bus stop, we're seeing more scattered showers. Those temperatures only in the lower 50s and kind of damp as well with that humidity kind of sticking around 100%. And those winds still kind of breezy, about 5 to 10 miles per hour. And tomorrow, same story. Temperatures kind of only reaching up to the mid to upper 50s with more rain showers for 8 a.m. through noon. And by 4 o'clock, tapering down a little bit. But the main story is between 8 a.m. and about 3 o'clock, we're seeing some of that rain showers coming in. And those highs, about 58 degrees here in Athens with that more showers on and off. That chances before 5 o'clock. And then for trick-or-treat on Thursday, great weather for that. No spooky weather at all. Those highs around 60 degrees on Thursday from 5 to 6:30 here in Athens for a beautiful day for trick-or-treating rather. And those temperatures kind of cool down as we head into Wednesday and Thursday. But then the weekend is something to keep an eye on because, Chelsea, look at this. On Saturday, 49 degrees for a high with those chances of rain. Sunday could see a chance of snow showers.
I'm not sure if I'm ready for the snow yet. Thanks, Ethan. Parts of northeastern Oregon are cleaning up after heavy rain swept through the state this weekend. But for some residents, the flooding destroyed nearly everything. Lachey Wesley reports on the damage in Tillamook.
A rushing Wilson River flooded from this weekend's storm. The result, widespread flooding throughout Tillamook. Amanda Crabtree tells me it stormed all night.
The wind was really crazy and the brushing of the trees sounded like tornado almost hitting. My kids were a little scared about it.
She expected trees to fall, but in the morning, water was the problem. The rain stopped hours ago, but water is still in the town. It's filled up roadways and forced drivers to find an alternative route. The Wilson River Highway was closed, so was Highway 101. North Main Street flooded. The sheriff's office used a boat to get through town. A truck was stuck in several feet of water. Drivers had to loop around town.
Yeah, it's been like a main freeway through here today.
Locals had to spend 2 hours in traffic.
So then as the morning went on, about 8:30, they finally opened up the loop for us to get through. And even then it was stop and go and it took a couple hours.
Joshua Brislin says the same areas always flood.
Last year on this time we flooded, we expected it though. Like I said, this one we didn't expect. So this one was a little surprising.
Several communities in Oregon set rainfall records on October 21st, including Portland, which received just over 2 inches of rain on Saturday.
Good evening, I'm Taylor Nimmo. Both Ohio professional football teams were in action yesterday. Find out if either team picked up the victory. And the Ohio Bobcats ran away with the victory. Find out how the football team became bowl eligible once again next on Newswatch. Stay tuned to WOUB. Here's a look at what's coming up tonight on your public television station.
Everybody, I'm Gridiron Glory host Joseph Payton. Every Friday night, live at 11:30, we will have a jam-packed show for you with everything that went down on the local gridiron that night. From every touchdown pass to every crushing hit, Gridiron Glory is your #1 source for all things Southeast Ohio football. So please be sure to tune into our show and also follow us on Twitter and Snapchat at Gridiron Glory, and of course like us on Facebook. I promise you won't want to miss out, because remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.
Ohio University students really have a huge sense of pride in our campus, in our school, and in our education.
People don't come to Ohio just to go to college. They come here to become a Bobcat.
It's a really unique atmosphere.
Bobcat pride is having that natural camaraderie.
Bobcats are just happy to be Bobcats.
My favorite time of year at Ohio has to be homecoming.
When the alumni come back, you can see that the love of this university doesn't fade.
Once you're a Bobcat, you're always a Bobcat.
My professors really care. They care about my grades, they care about my opportunities, they care about my experiences, they want me to succeed.
They give those opportunities to the students.
My professors have been extremely approachable.
Literally, their door is always open.
You can go to them with pretty much anything. Everyone knows your first and your last name and where you sit in the classroom.
I really never feel like I'm being talked down to or just being taught material. I always feel like I'm having a conversation.
And they want to share those opportunities and those experiences with us.
I knew that I wanted to come to Ohio University from the very first time I visited here.
There's something about the campus that grabs you.
It was really comforting.
Very welcoming.
It's one thing to write down your name and your GPA and that kind of stuff and send it in. It's another thing entirely to be here and see how great it is.
The campus here is just electric.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Everything just looked really college-like.
I looked at my mom and I said, this is it. And she said, the tour's just started. I said, no, you don't understand. This is it.
Welcome back, I'm Taylor Nimmo. For the 9th straight year, the Ohio Bobcats are bowl eligible. In their last Saturday game of the year, Ohio dominated Kent State 48-3. At the half, Ohio was leading Kent State 13-3. Coming out of the break, Ohio scored touchdowns on their first 4 possessions to blow the game open. The Bobcats had a season-high 336 yards rushing. On the other side, Kent State had less than 175 yards. Ohio has 10 days off before they face arch rival Miami next Tuesday. Coming off of their victory over Northern Illinois on Friday, the Ohio volleyball team fell to Western Michigan in 4 sets on Saturday. The Bobcats took their first set, but the Broncos won the next 3 and came out with a victory. Ohio helped Western Michigan out with more than 30 errors. Ohio freshman Tia Jimerson's 18 kills were not enough. She was bested by fellow freshman Rachel Bontrager with a match high of 20 kills. The Bobcats return home this weekend to take on Akron on Friday and Buffalo on Saturday. The Cincinnati Bengals came into Week 7 fresh off of a bye week. They were hoping to get that rivalry win over the Pittsburgh Steelers to get things rolling for them, and, well, that did not go as planned. Cincinnati started off strong and matched the Steelers score for score until they fell apart in the second half. Steelers picked off Andy Dalton twice and sacked him 3 times in the second half. Ben Roethlisberger, well, he sure showed up, threw for 224 yards and 2 touchdowns. Le'Veon Bell adding 192 yards for the Steelers as well. Steelers' dominating defense was too much for Cincinnati's offense to handle. Steelers would come out on top 29-14. Bengals will host the Indianapolis Colts this Sunday. The Cleveland Browns had a tough overtime loss this weekend against the Tennessee Titans. Browns rookie Zane Gonzalez made a 54-yard field goal with 40 seconds left in regulation, bringing the score to a tie at 9. Titans sealed the deal after a 47-yard field goal from Ryan Suckup with 1 minute and 55 seconds left in overtime. Now, heading into Week 8, the Browns are still winless this season. And the last time an NFL team has had a winless season was the Detroit Lions back in 2008. Browns are hoping to not be the next to do this. They'll head out to London this week to play the Vikings. And now the only similarity between the Browns and the Cavaliers are that they both lost their last game. Tomorrow night, the Cavs will look to rebound after their 21-point loss to the Orlando Magic on Saturday. Cavs return home to face the winless Chicago Bulls. Lauri Markkanen has been one of the few bright spots for the Bulls in their game against the San Antonio Spurs on Saturday. Markkanen put up 13 points and 12 rebounds. Tip-off is set for 8 o'clock, and the game will be televised on NBA TV. Week 7 of the NFL will wrap up tonight. Battle of the NFC East. The Philadelphia Eagles will host the Washington Redskins on Monday Night Football. This marks the second time these two teams have met this season. First being the season opener, where the Eagles took care of business, beating the Redskins 30-17. Since then, these guys have both been playing good football. The Eagles currently holding the top spot in the division, with the Redskins trailing in second. So tonight will have a huge impact on who's going to take that division title. I'm Taylor Nimmo, and that's it for sports. Back to you, Chelsea.
All right, thanks, Taylor. The city of Tualatin, Oregon has taken pumpkin growing competitions to the next level. On Saturday, thousands of people watched as pumpkin growers got into their giant pumpkins and raced them across a lake. For the last 14 years, this annual paddle race has been an opportunity to bring farmers and the public together.
It's just something that kind of a fun way for us to end the season, had to have a way off and then find another way to compete with our pumpkins. So we've been doing it for 14 years now, and as you can see, the events, it's getting big.
People from all over the world register in a lottery in September in hopes of being chosen to paddle a pumpkin in the event.
And not only those pumpkins wet, but our pumpkins will be wet as well here in Athens, because more rainfall tonight into tomorrow. For tomorrow's highs, only the mid to upper 50s, so Athens around 58 degrees for a high, and across the area we're seeing temperatures near 60 degrees. And if 7-day forecast, really interesting, because after the rain tomorrow, kind of a cool down for Wednesday. Trick or treat should be beautiful on Thursday with 61 degrees for a high. And in the weekend, Chelsea, we need to watch this, because Saturday night to Sunday we could see a transition between rain and possible snow showers as we head into Sunday. But overall, about a seasonal kind of forecast right here, Chelsea.
Looks like it's definitely going to be a chilly Halloween weekend here in Athens. Thanks, Ethan. And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. I'm Chelsea Sick. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. And remember, you can find the latest news anytime at woub.org. Have a great night.
I'm Gridiron Glory host Joseph Payton. Every Friday night, live at 11:30, we will have a jam-packed show for you with everything that went down on the local gridiron that night. From every touchdown pass to every crushing hit, Gridiron Glory is your #1 source for all things Southeast Ohio football. So please be sure to tune into our show and also follow us on Twitter and Snapchat at Gridiron Glory, and of course like us on Facebook. I promise you won't want to miss out, because remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights and gridiron glory.